Wagwan people. Alright, so there's been a little bit of talk about loot boxes lately. And I figured I'll have a little gaming session with Cuphead whilst trying to talk about loot boxes, trying to beat this boss. I'm not sure how much of a good idea this is because Cuphead requires a lot of concentration. But anyway, so there's been a lot of talk about loot boxes and whether loot boxes count as gambling. I should probably shoot this while I'm doing it, actually. And a lot of people saying that they think it does. I believe the ESRB said that it doesn't. They don't count as gambling. I've been thinking about this a little bit, and I think, let me throw my 2 cents on the matter because, I appreciate why people would say they think it's gambling. But I'm not convinced that it is. I think I have to agree with the ESRB on this particular one. I don't think it is gambling. Now that said, I'm not a big fan of loot boxes. I tend to avoid microtransactions in general for various reasons. They have their uses, I suppose, but for the most part, I just rather not. But yeah, I don't say gambling. The reason why I don't call it gambling is because gambling by nature is pure chance. You risk something to get something, and yeah, this wasn't a good idea. This is not the game to play while talking about anything. Anyway, you risk something to get something, but you may end up with nothing. You may end up with just absolutely nothing. Whereas with loot boxes, you get something. You might not necessarily get the thing that you specifically want, but you do get something, so you're not really risking it all for nothing, or potentially nothing. You are guaranteed something. You just might not get the thing that you want. And I guess it's kind of like insurance. A lot of people say that insurance is like gambling. I disagree with that as well. And again, I'm not a big fan of insurance. I tend to avoid insurance wherever possible, but certain legal requirements, but yeah, same with insurance. You get something, you get insurance. It's just the insurance might not necessarily cover the thing you want it to cover. It might not pay. They might not pay out for something that you want it to pay out for. So you are getting something, you're just not getting the thing that you want, and that's really what it is. And I think if you're gonna call loot boxes gambling, then a lot of things you could really consider gambling, because there's a lot of times you pay for something, you just don't necessarily get the thing that you want. For example, if you go out and buy a video game, right? You buy a video game because maybe it looks cool or whatever, and you've heard good things about it, but that doesn't mean that you're going to like it. And especially back in the days where you couldn't return, where you couldn't return games. In fact, there's a lot of places you still can't. If you buy a game and you didn't like it, you're stuck with it. Is that gambling? Well, no, you're still getting a game. You just didn't get a game that you like. It's just how it goes sometimes. So, yeah, my feeling, I don't think I could call it gambling. But as I said, I'm not a big fan of loot boxes. I do feel like they are. I mean, you tend to just get nonsense in there for the most part, really. Like skins and stuff, and they're okay sometimes, I guess, but they're never anything that I feel is worthwhile. So that's why I generally don't bother with loot boxes, just because, or microtransactions, just because they are, in my view, they're a waste of money. But yeah, I'm not sure I'd call them gambling. In fact, I wouldn't call them gambling. Let me be a bit more definite on that statement. I would not call it gambling. It's just you don't necessarily get what you want, which is, well, that's just how life is sometimes, really. You don't always get what you want. You try your best. You do things you do things in good faith, but you don't always get what you want. You don't always get the thing that you want. I would say this, however, concerning the ESRB, when they compared it to like trading cards, where you buy trading cards and you can buy a whole bunch of trading cards. Sometimes you get like a really cool trading card, but a lot of times you might get something you already have or something you don't really care for. I would say yes, there are similarities in that. That being said, the difference with trading cards, in particular physical trading cards, is that you can trade them. If you've got friends that also collecting trading cards or stickers, albums that we used to do back in the day, We used to collect stickers like Panini football album, old school. Let me know if you remember that one, Panini football album. But we used to collect stickers back in the day, and you know, I remember going to school with like a massive wad of like stickers of stuff that you've already got, and then your friend would be like have stuff that he's already got. You'd be trying to like swap the ones and be like, oh, I'll trade you, 2 of this for one of those or whatever it was, actually wouldn't 2, but you know what I mean, like these like one, I don't know, whoever, I can't remember the names of the football players back, but you know what I'm saying, you trade like maybe 2 cards or 2 stickers for one that you really want, or something along those lines. But yeah, those you could trade them. That's the point I'm making. You can trade them if you get stuff that repeats or stuff that you don't really care for. Whereas with loot boxes, you can't do that, I believe, with most games, at least anyway. There may be some out there that have implemented that feature. I know the feature is definitely possible because you could trade stuff on Steam. So I don't know why more games aren't doing the trading system with loot boxes or loot crates or whatever. I keep saying loot boxes. I mean loot crates, by the way. Was it? No, wait. I was right the first time. Loot boxes. Loot crates is the company where you buy. In fact, even loot box actually. Loot crate rather. I guess that's another way. Another thing is that you pay to get some stuff. You might not necessarily get what you want. You pay the geek items. You might get a bunch of cool stuff, or you might not. You might get stuff that you care about, you might not. It's oh shit, man. Yeah, this wasn't a good idea. Cuphead is not the game to play while talking about stuff. But yeah, the point is that there's a lot of things out there where you pay for something, you get something, you just don't necessarily get the thing that you specifically want. And for me, loot boxes fall into that category for the most part, and it's a shame that most or at least a lot, or at least the ones I've come across where you can't trade them. I think that's the one thing they should really not the one thing, actually there's a lot of things you can add to make it more appealing, but that's certainly one of the things I think any game that has loot boxes should implement a trading system where you could be like, okay, well, we've got a bunch of these, maybe you could trade some for stuff that you don't already have. I would make it more interesting for me anyway. But I don't know if I'd go for it still. It's still money I don't particularly want to spend on stuff. I don't remember who it was actually, but there was one YouTuber who talked about the fact that it's digital items, so you're not really getting anything physical. I think it was Boogie1098 actually, where he talked about when he comparisons to trading cards. And the thing about that is that I'd say that, yeah, it's still digital. It's a digital item, so you're not getting anything physical. That said, that's how a lot of things are these days. You buy music, it comes as a download. You can still buy CDs if you want to, and I still do from time to time. But you buy music and it's a download, or you rent a movie online and it's a stream. Games even, you buy and you can download them, so you're not always getting something physical. That's kind of the way the world is now. A product isn't necessarily a tangible item. It's something that could also be something that is digital or just binary in nature, zeros and ones, and that's just a combination of zeros and ones, and whatever that adds up to creates on screen or in your ears, and you might like it, and then there you go. But that is, that was close. That's just the world, So it's I think I could fault them on that. But yeah, so anyway, to conclude this video, I disagree with that loot boxes are gambling. That said, I'm not a big fan of loot boxes. I think they are, for the most part, a waste of money. Digital items are just the way of the world now, and they should, more of them at least, should add a trading system. I'm sure some do it already, but out of the ones I've come across, I don't think I've seen too many, if any. I know Steam do it, like I said, but I don't think too many others do it. So anyway, add a trading system and I might consider it. But anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think it's gambling? Do you agree, disagree? Do you have a completely different opinion altogether? Let me know what you think of that. And if you like this video, give it a like and share it amongst your friends. If you did not like it, then give it a dislike and share it amongst your enemies. Either way, let me know your reasons in the comments. Subscribe if you have not already. Thank you for watching, and until whenever, if ever, we're counting cards. We're counting cards. We're counting cards. I don't know if you got that reference, by the way. Old school. But figuring out the basic special moves, you could usually do that for the most part. And if you talk to a few people, a lot of people seem to know because you experiment a lot. But when it came to the finishing moves, these were like the stuff of legends. I mean, yeah, nowadays you just go online and it's there. But back in 1992, when this